The betrayal. The cold, empty void of space surrounded the human as he lay in the dark, abandoned room of a massive alien station. He had been left to die. No food, no water, no hope. The aliens who had captured him were supposed to take him prisoner, but instead, they saw him as a mere inconvenience. After their brief encounter, they'd decided that a human would be of no value to them. So they left him there on this desolate station, with nothing but the echo of their footsteps to mark his fate. His name was Marcus, and he had once been an ordinary human, a soldier fighting to protect his world. But now he was alone. His limbs were weak, and his throat dry, the bitterness of betrayal lingering in his mind. The air was thin, and every breath felt like it could be his last. As he lay there, staring at the walls of the alien station, he couldn't understand why they had abandoned him. The aliens, creatures he had never even seen up close before, had no compassion. They had simply left him here, in this cold, empty fortress. No one would know he was here. No one would come for him. If he died, the station would remain silent, just another forgotten part of the galaxy. But Marcus wasn't one to give up easily. He had survived battles before, and this station was no different. With the last bit of strength he could muster, he forced himself to sit up. His hand shook as he pulled himself to his feet. The pain in his body was overwhelming, but the will to survive was stronger. In the darkness of the station, a soft humming sound echoed through the hallways, unfamiliar, mechanical. Marcus's eyes narrowed. He might be abandoned, but this place wasn't entirely empty. There was something still alive here, something that could be used to his advantage. His mind raced as he thought about what to do next. The aliens had left him here with no intention of returning, but Marcus had a plan now. He didn't know how long he had before the aliens discovered he was still alive, but he had to act quickly. His survival depended on it. He began searching the room, trying to find anything that could help him. His hands brushed over walls that seemed to pulse with an energy he didn't understand. He wasn't just trapped on a forgotten station. He was on a high-tech fortress built for war, a place that could be turned into a weapon. If he could figure out how to activate its systems, he could fight back. The hum in the background grew louder. This was his chance. The aliens had left him behind, but he wasn't going to die quietly. He was going to turn their own technology against them. His heart beat faster as he limped toward the nearest console. Time was running out, but Marcus had one advantage. The aliens didn't know him. They didn't know that, even when left for dead, humanity had a way of surviving, and he would show them just how far he was willing to go to get his revenge. As the station's cold lights flickered to life, Marcus smiled grimly. The game had just begun. The first step to revenge. Marcus stood in front of the station's main control panel, the dim blue lights flickering as the station slowly powered up. The cold hum that had been echoing through the halls was now accompanied by the faint sound of machinery grinding to life. His eyes scanned the alien interface, and for a moment, the overwhelming complexity of the technology almost made him freeze. He wasn't a scientist, and he certainly wasn't a tech genius. But he was human, and humans had a way of figuring things out, no matter how impossible the task seemed. The first thing he noticed was the giant energy readings, massive reactors that powered the entire station, capable of firing powerful weapons across entire systems. If he could somehow gain control of those, the aliens who had left him for dead would pay dearly. He wasn't going to let them get away with this. His fingers flew over the alien symbols on the console. The screen flickered, and a series of strange glyphs scrolled across the display. Marcus couldn't read them, but he knew enough from his time as a soldier to recognize certain patterns. One of the symbols resembled the power grid. He focused on it, pressing the buttons in a sequence that felt right. The loud beeping noise echoed through the room, followed by a strange whirring sound. Something had activated. The entire room suddenly shuddered, and the station's power seemed to surge, lighting up the walls with an eerie glow. Marcus's heart raced, but he didn't hesitate. This was it. The station was coming online, and with it, his chance for survival. If he could control the weapons, he could turn this place into a weapon of destruction. As he continued his work, a screen flashed with information about the station's armaments. It was all there: laser cannons, missile pods, automated defense drones. The station was designed to be a fortress, a perfect place for a final stand. But what surprised Marcus most was the defensive grid that had been activated. An entire fleet of ships had been dispatched to protect the station, ensuring that no one could escape. A chilling realization struck him. If he didn't act fast, the aliens would return before he had fully activated the weapon systems. The fleet was already on its way. Marcus clenched his fists, knowing there was no turning back. His only chance was to gain full control over the station before the aliens arrived. He needed to move quickly, but every step felt like a dangerous gamble. There was no second chance if he made a mistake. He ran through the station's corridors, following the hum of power that was growing louder with each passing moment. His legs felt weak, but his mind was sharp. The sound of approaching ships grew louder in the distance. The aliens were getting closer. In a small control room, he found a terminal that would allow him to interface directly with the station's main weapon system. His hand shook as he plugged in a data cable from his suit into the terminal. The screen blinked to life, showing an array of weapon systems that Marcus could control. It was more than he had ever dreamed of. But as he began to work, he realized that he wasn't alone. A soft click sounded from behind him, and the door to the control room slid open. Marcus whipped around, ready to defend himself. To his shock, no one was there, just a row of alien drones hovering in the doorway. Their red sensors glowed ominously as they slowly advanced toward him. His heart skipped a beat. These were no ordinary machines. They were deadly, and they had been activated by his interference. Without thinking, Marcus slammed his fist onto the control panel, triggering the station's defenses. The drones stopped in their tracks, their sensors flickering. Suddenly, automated weapons locked onto the drones, firing with pinpoint accuracy. The drones exploded in a burst of sparks and twisted metal, leaving behind nothing but debris. Marcus took a deep breath. His plan was working, but this was just the beginning. The aliens had left him to die, but now he was in control of the station, and with that control, he would make them regret their decision. As he turned back to the terminal, a message flashed on the screen. The alien fleet was almost in orbit. He had to be ready. There was no time to waste. Marcus smiled grimly. The real fight was about to begin. A taste of power. The station was alive now, pulsing with energy, its once dormant systems humming with power under Marcus's control. He had done it. He had taken command of the weapons, the defenses, and even the station's central core. The cold, empty space that had once felt like his tomb was now his arena. But the aliens were closing in, and Marcus knew that the real test had only just begun. He moved swiftly through the dark hallways, his boots echoing in the silent expanse of the station. The control panels in the walls lit up as he passed, each one offering him more control, more power. He could feel the station's might in every inch of the walls, the hum of the energy running through his veins as much as the station's power flowed through its circuits. Marcus had always been a soldier, trained to fight, to think fast, and act decisively. But this was different. This was about strategy. This was about taking a place that was once a prison and turning it into a weapon. He arrived at the station's weapons room, a massive chamber filled with towering alien cannons. His hands worked with precision as he accessed the control systems. A readout flashed in front of him. Power levels were stable, but it wasn't enough. The station had far more destructive potential, and he had just scratched the surface. "Let's see how they like this," Marcus muttered to himself, flipping the switch that activated the long-range weapons. The moment he did, the station trembled as an energy beam shot into space, hitting a nearby asteroid and obliterating it into dust. The raw power of the blast left Marcus breathless. It was a reminder of how dangerous this place could be, if used correctly. But just as quickly, his mind sharpened. The aliens would soon realize that they had made a grave mistake by leaving him alive. And when they arrived, he would be ready. Just then, the station's scanners picked up movement in the distance. Alien ships entering the system. Their hulls were sleek and menacing, their markings unmistakable. The fleet was here, and they would stop at nothing to destroy him. Marcus felt a surge of adrenaline rush through him, but he kept his cool. The enemy ships were still several hours away, but the first signs of their approach were already visible on the station's monitors. Marcus quickly moved to a higher command center, a room that would give him an even broader range of control. He was confident now. The weapons were ready, the defenses were primed, and the station's power core was charging. But there was one thing he hadn't accounted for: the station's automated defense drones. The moment he entered the new command room, a series of alarms went off. The station's defense drones had detected his presence and were coming for him. He barely had time to react as several of the mechanical creatures filled the doorway, their red eyes glowing with hostility. These were not just any drones. These were the station's elite fighters, designed to eliminate threats with ruthless efficiency. Marcus didn't hesitate. He ducked behind a console as the drones opened fire. Energy blasts streaked across the room, hitting the walls with deafening force. Marcus grabbed a nearby weapon, an alien rifle, and fired back. The blast sent one of the drones crashing into the wall, sparks flying everywhere. But there were too many. They kept advancing, closing in on his position. With a grim determination, Marcus activated the station's automated defenses. The walls shook as massive energy cannons began firing at the drones, each blast hitting its mark with deadly precision. The drones exploded one by one, their metal bodies turning to scrap. The fight was over almost as soon as it began. The station fell silent once again. But Marcus knew this victory was only temporary. The aliens were still out there, and they wouldn't be happy to find out that he was still alive. He turned to the monitors, watching as the alien fleet drew closer, now just hours away. A cold smile spread across his face. "Come and get me," he muttered under his breath. Marcus had tasted power, real, deadly power, and now he would use it to make the aliens regret their decision to leave him for dead. The alien response. Marcus stood in the heart of the control room, his fingers running across the glowing console as he watched the alien fleet draw closer. The eerie hum of the station filled the air, but his mind was sharp, focused. He had never felt more alive, more in control. The station was his weapon now, and with every passing minute, the aliens were inching closer to their doom. The alien fleet, a formidable armada of sleek warships, was now in orbit, just beyond the station's range. Their presence sent a wave of tension through the station. Marcus knew they would be coming for him, ready to destroy the human who had somehow managed to survive, and more importantly, to gain control of their precious war machine. He checked the station's weapon systems again. Everything was online. Every cannon, missile pod, and automated defense system. The station was capable of leveling entire fleets, and now Marcus was the one holding the trigger. But just as he began to prepare for the inevitable battle, the station's sensors detected something else: movement on the surface of the station itself. Someone, or something, had boarded the station. Marcus's breath caught in his chest as he realized the aliens had already begun their assault. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway outside the control room. He quickly checked the monitors. Alien soldiers were infiltrating the station's inner corridors, preparing to breach the control center. These soldiers were highly trained, their bodies armored in advanced alien technology. They wouldn't be easy to defeat. His mind raced. The station's automated defense systems had already dealt with the drones, but now the real danger was here. He would need to use every ounce of his military training to survive this. "Let's see if they've learned anything," Marcus muttered, his fingers flying over the controls once more. He initiated a lockdown sequence for all entry points into the control room, and within moments, massive reinforced steel doors slammed shut, sealing the room from the outside. He knew the aliens would try to blast their way in, but they weren't the only ones with firepower. Marcus had one card left to play: the station's core reactor, a device capable of unleashing unimaginable destruction. If he had to, he could overload it, turning the entire station into a weapon of mass destruction. But he didn't want to go that far. Not yet. He still had a plan, and that plan depended on the aliens making the first move. The ship's sensors blinked, signaling that the enemy warships had locked onto his position. Their weapons systems powered up, and Marcus saw the telltale signs of an incoming strike. They were preparing to destroy the station from a distance. Without wasting a second, he activated the station's main weapon, an enormous energy cannon mounted on the exterior. The cannon fired with a roar, sending a massive energy pulse toward the enemy fleet. The alien warships dodged, but not all of them. One ship took a direct hit, exploding in a fiery burst of light. Marcus's heart raced as he watched the debris from the destroyed ship float into space. He had made his first move, but he knew it wouldn't be enough. The aliens wouldn't be satisfied with just a warning shot. They would retaliate with everything they had. Just then, the station's outer sensors picked up something unexpected: a signal from within the fleet. The aliens were communicating, and it wasn't just a normal military command. It was a warning. They had realized that something was wrong, that the human they had abandoned was still alive and fighting back. The aliens weren't just planning to destroy the station anymore. They were coming for him personally. Marcus clenched his fists. The game had changed. The aliens had been content to leave him behind, to think him dead, but now they were coming to finish what they had started. He could hear their voices over the comm system: alien commanders, shouting orders, mobilizing troops for a full-scale assault. The invasion had begun. A loud crash echoed from the hallway outside. The aliens had breached the station's outer defenses. Marcus took a deep breath, preparing himself for what was to come. The fight for survival had begun in earnest, and Marcus was ready. He would make them pay for their betrayal. But first, he needed to prepare. He couldn't afford to make any mistakes. He moved swiftly toward the command center's weapons locker, grabbing a rifle and a few extra supplies. As the station shuddered from the incoming attacks, Marcus smiled grimly. The aliens thought they were in control. They thought they were the hunters. But they were wrong. Now it was his turn. And this time, he wasn't going to let them leave him for dead. The battle begins. The alarms blared across the station as Marcus readied himself for the incoming assault. The alien warships hovered just outside, their weapons primed, while the enemy soldiers infiltrated the station's inner corridors. The time for stealth was over. The aliens had made their move, and now so would he. Marcus took one last look at the control room's large tactical screen. It showed a web of enemy movements: alien soldiers approaching, warships circling, and automated defense systems still at the ready. His heart pounded, but his mind was focused. He knew that his chance for revenge was now, and he wouldn't waste it. The first strike came in the form of a blast from an enemy warship. The station trembled as the energy cannon hit its outer defenses, but Marcus had already anticipated the move. He activated the station's defense shields, which absorbed the blow. The shields flickered but held strong. The aliens had underestimated the power he now controlled. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed from the hallway. The alien soldiers were coming. Marcus took a deep breath, then pressed a button on the control panel. The station's automated turrets, hidden in the walls and ceilings, sprang to life, unleashing a barrage of laser fire into the corridor. The first wave of alien soldiers, unprepared for such an attack, were cut down before they even reached the control room. But the aliens had learned quickly. They had prepared for this kind of defense. From the corners of the hallway, more soldiers appeared, this time using shields and advanced alien technology to block the incoming fire. The turrets continued firing, but now the soldiers were advancing in a tactical formation. They were moving fast, using the station's interior to their advantage, and Marcus knew that he needed to stay one step ahead of them. He grabbed his rifle and moved to another control panel, activating the station's secondary defense systems, energy walls, hidden blast doors, and traps that could slow down the aliens. As the enemy soldiers neared, Marcus triggered a series of explosive charges planted along the walls. The hallway erupted in a deafening explosion, sending debris flying. The force of the blast shook the station, but the soldiers were relentless. Some were knocked off their feet, but others quickly regrouped, moving in closer. Marcus didn't give them a chance to breathe. He rushed toward the control room's main access door, stepping over fallen debris as he made his way to a second weapons console. The station's weapons systems were fully operational, but Marcus knew the real battle was just beginning. The alien fleet was closing in, and the final confrontation was about to unfold. Suddenly, the screen flickered, and a new message appeared, an encrypted transmission from the alien fleet's command. The message was clear: "You cannot win, human. Surrender now or face annihilation." Marcus's lips curled into a wry smile. They didn't understand. They had thought him weak, abandoned, but now he had the upper hand. "No, I won't surrender," Marcus muttered, his voice cold and determined. "This is my fight now." He tapped a few keys on the console, activating the station's long-range weapons. The massive energy cannons outside the station's hull powered up, aiming directly at the alien fleet. A warning flash appeared on the screen. Direct hit potential locked. Marcus's heart raced as he locked onto the lead warship. He fired. The blast was so powerful it tore through the emptiness of space, hitting the warship square in its engines. The alien ship shook violently, sparks flying from the wreckage, and then it exploded in a fiery ball of light. The first enemy ship had been destroyed, but there was no time to celebrate. The alien fleet wasn't finished. More ships came into view, each one bristling with weapons and shields, their designs sleek and deadly. The aliens had come prepared, and they weren't about to back down. As the battle continued, Marcus used the station's automated weapons, launching missile pods and firing energy beams, taking out more ships, one after another. The once abandoned station was now a fortress in full battle mode, its weapons tearing into the enemy fleet. The alien soldiers, caught between Marcus's relentless attacks and the station's defenses, began to retreat, but it was clear this would be a fight to the death. In the control room, Marcus monitored the battle, sweat dripping down his face. He had one last card to play. If the station's weapons weren't enough to turn the tide, he could always activate the core reactor. But that would mean risking everything. He wasn't ready to use that option yet. There was still a chance he could defeat them without going that far. Another wave of alien soldiers stormed the control room, and Marcus quickly engaged them, using the station's weapons and his own rifle. His heart pounded as he fought, but he wasn't just defending now. He was taking back everything the aliens had stolen from him. He was no longer the helpless human they had left to die. He was the one in control. And with each battle won, Marcus knew the aliens' arrogance would be their downfall. This station, this warship, was now his, and he wasn't going to let anyone take it from him. Not now, not ever. The real battle was just beginning, and Marcus was ready to see it through to the end. The betrayal within. The station was alive with chaos. Explosions echoed through the corridors, and the constant hum of the station's weapons as they fired at the alien fleet outside made the entire structure feel like a living, breathing war machine. But as Marcus fought, pushing forward against the alien forces, a strange feeling began to settle in his gut, a feeling that something wasn't quite right. He had control over the station's systems, but the aliens weren't just attacking. They were holding back. Marcus took cover behind a reinforced wall, watching as the alien soldiers pushed forward. Their weapons were powerful, and they fought with precision, but there was something odd about their tactics. It was almost as if they were distracted. And that was when it hit him. The aliens weren't just here to destroy him. They were after something else, something far more important. Just as Marcus pieced this together, an unexpected signal flashed across his console. It was an encrypted message, not from the alien fleet, but from one of the alien soldiers, one who had infiltrated the station. The message was brief, but its contents sent a chill through Marcus's body. The High Command is watching. Help is coming, but the station must be ours. The betrayal was necessary. You must trust us if you want to survive. Marcus's mind raced. A betrayal within the enemy ranks. But who could he trust? These were the same aliens who had left him for dead, abandoned him on this cursed station. Yet this message suggested that not all of them were loyal to the High Command. Before he could process the message fully, a figure appeared at the entrance of the room. A figure wearing the same advanced armor as the alien soldiers, but this one didn't attack. Instead, the alien removed its helmet, revealing a face Marcus hadn't expected to see. A high-ranking officer, but not one of the typical alien soldiers. This one looked different. Its eyes were softer, less ruthless. The alien spoke in a language Marcus couldn't understand at first, but then, to his surprise, it switched to basic human speech. "Marcus, you're not the only one who's been betrayed," the alien said, its voice surprisingly calm. "We don't all serve the High Command. Some of us are fighting for a different future, one where humanity can stand beside us, not as enemies, but as allies." Marcus stood up, rifle still in hand, his heart racing. This was the last thing he had expected. Could he really trust this alien, or was it just another trick to get him to lower his guard? "You were with them, weren't you? You helped leave me to die. How can I trust you now?" Marcus growled, his grip tightening on the weapon. The alien sighed, taking a cautious step forward. "I didn't have a choice. The High Command ordered it, and I had to obey. But that was before I saw what the humans are truly capable of. Before I realized that leaving you to die was the biggest mistake we ever made. You have power, the power to end this war, but it won't be easy." Marcus hesitated, torn between disbelief and curiosity. He had to make a decision. Trusting this alien could be his only chance at survival, but if this was another trap, it could mean the end for him and everything he had worked for. "Why should I trust you?" Marcus asked, his voice cold but tinged with desperation. The alien's eyes narrowed. "Because I know what's coming. The High Command has sent for reinforcements. If you don't work with us, they will destroy you and the station. We'll all be dead before long. But together, we can take them down, not just the soldiers, but the leaders who made all of this happen. If you let me help you, we can turn the tide." Marcus thought for a long moment. He was used to fighting alone, but something about the alien's words struck him. The stakes were higher than just survival now. The entire war could be at stake, and if the High Command was as dangerous as the alien suggested, Marcus had no choice but to listen. "All right, I'll trust you, for now," Marcus said, his voice hard. "But if this is another lie, I'll make sure you regret it." The alien nodded slowly, then pulled out a small device and handed it to Marcus. "This will help you access the station's control network. I've already sent a signal to the rest of my faction. We'll help you fight. But you must be quick. The High Command's fleet is already mobilizing. Once they're here, we won't stand a chance." Marcus took the device, his mind racing with the possibilities. For the first time, he felt a glimmer of hope that there might be a way out of this. But trust was a fragile thing, especially when it came to enemies, whether they were alien or human. "Let's move," Marcus said, the weight of the moment settling in. "We don't have much time." With that, they moved quickly through the station's corridors, avoiding enemy patrols as they made their way to the heart of the station's systems. It was now a race against time. Would Marcus's new alliance be enough to turn the tide, or would the High Command crush them before they could make a move? The stakes had never been higher. The final revenge. The station trembled as Marcus and the alien officer made their way deeper into the heart of the structure. The distant rumble of alien warships approaching echoed through the hallways, and the hum of the station's weapon systems fired sporadically at the incoming fleet. The countdown was ticking. The High Command's forces were closing in, and Marcus knew the time for hesitation was over. He couldn't just survive anymore. He had to make the aliens regret every single decision they had made in abandoning him and in underestimating humanity. He was in control now, and he was going to finish what they had started. They reached the central control room. This was it. If they could access the core reactor and override its systems, they would have the power to destroy the alien fleet and wipe out the High Command's control over the station once and for all. But it wouldn't be easy. The High Command had one final trick up their sleeve, a hidden self-destruct protocol that would trigger the destruction of the entire station if anyone tried to tamper with the core reactor. Marcus quickly pulled up the station's systems on the console. His hands moved with practiced speed, but as the alien officer watched him, it was clear they both understood the gravity of the situation. They didn't have much time before the self-destruct would engage. "We can't wait too long," the alien officer said, urgency in their voice. "Once the High Command gets word that the core's been accessed, they'll send everything they have. If we don't disable the self-destruct system, the entire station will become a weapon of mass destruction, and not even you will survive." Marcus nodded, his heart pounding. The only thing standing between him and victory was a single sequence of codes, and the unknown consequences of whether or not this alien truly could be trusted. "I know," Marcus replied, focused on the console in front of him. His fingers moved faster, overriding the system's security protocols. But a warning flashed. Self-destruct sequence initiated. The countdown began. "Damn it," Marcus cursed under his breath, quickly running through the options on the terminal. He couldn't stop it, not without shutting down the core entirely, and that would kill them all instantly. "We don't have time to fix it," Marcus muttered. "The High Command is already sending reinforcements. We need to make our stand here and now." The alien officer hesitated, then spoke, their voice calm and decisive. "There's one last thing I can do. I can trigger the station's core overload, which will detonate the entire fleet if we time it right. But the cost is high. We'll only have one shot." Marcus turned to them, eyes wide. "Do it. I'll cover you." The alien officer nodded, then walked to a secondary control panel at the far end of the room, activating an emergency override. As they did, the entire station seemed to shudder in response, its systems strained to their limits. The hum of the reactor built into a deafening roar as energy surged through the walls. Marcus gripped his rifle tightly. There was no going back now. He turned toward the hallway, where the first wave of alien soldiers began to flood in, ready to stop him. Their faces twisted in anger as they saw what Marcus was doing. But it was too late. Marcus fired, taking down the first alien before moving quickly to cover. The alien officer was working quickly at the terminal, sweat dripping down their face as the countdown continued to tick closer to zero. A booming voice echoed through the station's speakers. The voice of the High Command. "Human, you will not escape your fate. Surrender now or face annihilation." Marcus didn't flinch. "You should have killed me when you had the chance," he shouted, his voice fierce. The aliens began closing in, but he didn't wait for them to make their move. He opened fire once more, taking down the next wave of soldiers that tried to storm the control room. The alien officer's hands flew across the terminal as they activated the core overload sequence, but time was running out. Just as the station's hull began to crack and groan under the weight of the conflict, the reactor suddenly erupted in a massive blast of energy, its core power detonating with an intensity that sent shockwaves through the entire station. The energy pulse was felt throughout the fleet. Ships were destroyed, their engines fried instantly, and alien warriors evaporated in the blast's wake. The entire enemy fleet was obliterated in an instant, leaving nothing but space debris and the echoes of their failures. Marcus stood in the aftermath, breathing heavily, watching as the station's power slowly waned. His body ached, but his eyes burned with triumph. The High Command's forces had been destroyed. The station, their symbol of power, was now a tomb for them, and he had done it. But victory came at a cost. The station, severely damaged by the overload, began to collapse, its systems failing one by one. Marcus knew that it was only a matter of time before it would fall into complete chaos, and he wouldn't have long to escape. "Come on," Marcus shouted to the alien officer, pulling them toward the escape pods. The station was crumbling around them, but they had done it. They had taken back control, and now they were going to survive. As they reached the escape pods and launched into the empty void of space, Marcus couldn't help but look back at the wreckage of the station. It was over. The aliens had left him for dead, but now they had been destroyed. The message had been clear: never underestimate a human. And as Marcus looked toward the stars, he knew this was only the beginning.